Today I'm turning my 2019 Copic illustration into an animated Procreate GIF. Sit back, relax, and I'll show you how I did it. So, I've been feeling quite bummed out about art in general recently, and I wanted to do a little experiment. I wanted to redraw something that I drew a long time ago, and I believe I originally drew this during Inktober of 2019. That particular time of my life wasn't necessarily the easiest, but I was making the best of my situation by using creativity to my advantage. I remember at the time being very proud of that drawing, but obviously over time it doesn't look quite as well as it did when I first did it. So I wanted to upgrade it a little bit, and I'm pretty satisfied with the results. So the first thing I get started with here is drawing the asteroid. This was actually a lot more straightforward than I was anticipating. I had to pull an image from Google, and I just started to block out certain sections and try to keep some type of round shape while simultaneously adding certain details. The hardest part of this asteroid was specifically the texture, because there's no asteroid, well, I can't say that beyond a reasonable doubt, but it's seemingly the majority of asteroids are rather bumpy and rigid. So I had to give the texture through a painterly effect, and later on you'll see that, and I think it adds a lot more visual value to the asteroid. I kind of wish I went a little bit darker on the back end, but I was having so many issues blending, as I do with digital art, but those things can be adjusted in video editing, which I also didn't do. But it's just something that you can take note of. For your asteroid illustrations in the future, I don't know if it's obvious or not, but the hardest part of this entire illustration was the actual superhero. I had a lot of angles to work with here. The very first image from 2019, it's very flat. There's no depth. He's kind of like being pushed up by the asteroid and not actually pushing against it. And that's what we want, because we got to go to the movies next weekend with Mark and Jessica, and we can't do that if the asteroid hits the planet. So he's got to save our life, and that's what he's here for. I apologize for the use of these reference photos. Or maybe not, I don't know, it depends. If you're offended, I apologize, but I needed a visual reference to get this body right, because boy, it's important to get the body right. Otherwise he's gonna look like something that wouldn't realistically save the planet from a massive asteroid coming from space. And that was like a huge part of this illustration. So I needed these reference photos. Anyway, illustration is pretty straightforward, but I just wanted to give you some keynotes on that process. I also realized that he was in space. Now, he doesn't need a helmet because it's a drawing, but I went to college twice, so we want a little bit of logic here. He can't breathe in space. I don't know where the air tank is, but you gotta trust me, it's there. So at this point, I'm just finishing up those smaller details, adding more definition to the lines, giving everything more visual accuracy, if you will, and it all just comes together. I also decided to add a flare. It helped kind of give the illusion of sunlight kind of hitting against everything, and I like the effect that it gave. We're in the animation portion of this video now. I went for a very simple approach. I was actually kind of shocked at how easy this part was. Usually the animation process is quite tedious. However, today I found an easy way to make something look good, and it's always a W when you can do something like that. I went for what you would typically see in like a mobile game or something, you know what I'm talking about, when they like make a new video game character and they make a budget animation short and they just have like a drawing, but they like move it around and stuff. That's what I did. That's exactly what I did. I opted big studio quality here, and it actually turned out. So I'm happy with it. I had to add other things though to create more of a visually appealing story. I think this might have been the most difficult part of this entire process, was the motion lines, because I've seen these in animations before. I don't know if they're usually this big, but I wanted to create big, bold white lines and make sure that they were lined up, but I also wanted to add kind of an irregularity to it, so it wasn't just uniform motion lines going through, that it looked a little, I guess, shaky or not quite stable, because it's an unstable situation, and I wanted to translate that the best way I could. I do like how they turned out. I'm not sure how I would go about it differently, but I think over time, looking back at this, I'll be able to kind of answer that question. The last portion of the animation process happened kind of spur of the moment, as most wonderful things do. I was editing this video and I said, you know, we could add a little bit more. Let's go a little bit farther into this. And I decided to add little pieces of rock going past him to give more movement, more motion, and to create just a little bit more animation so it still constitutes as an animation and not the lack thereof. For the sake of transparency, y'all. That's all I'm here for. But yeah, that's all she wrote. So I'm really excited about this. This was a really fun idea, and I'm so happy with how it turned out. This is really unlike anything I've seen before from me. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoy a little animation. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Stay cozy.